gonna play the intro. We're gonna start with the intro.
Now that the recording started.
Welcome into the Dad Verb Podcast. Topics around parenting from the lens of a dad.
And we're gonna leave that part in too. We are leaving that part in.
Mistakes happen.
See,
The sausage is getting made, people.
Pre-show, I came in with my shirt buttoned all the way to the top. We're in this episode, we're going to be talking about witching hour, what it is, dealing with it. Halloween is upon us, so we decided witching hour. Get it?
That's so funny.
Okay, but if you're watching on the YouTubes, I am wearing a shirt from Huckberry. And they are the sponsors of Dad Verb Podcast, the Dad Verb YouTube channel. But the and I love the shirt, by the way. It's amazing. But
It looks nice. Looks like a good shirt.
It is, dude. It's such a good shirt. But when I wear, and if you guys want it, it is linked below in the show notes, in the description of the YouTube video. We're gonna get to the witching hour, but let me ask you this, okay? When you wear button-up shirts, whether it's polos or something like this, do you go all the way up to the top? Saunders said I look like a cholo. Wait, is that
use those
you
words?
did say something like that derogatory? Puerto Rican, sir.
Why do you look like a Latin gang member in that shirt?
Basically,
you go all the way to the top. The only difference is it's not plaid. Okay, I think there's a color plaid schema that's required.
So,
but I could be wrong.
The higher the socks, the downer the fool.
Oh man, we are not going to be able to publish this.
Just got demonetized is what just happened. Huckberry just pulled. No, well, thanks to Huckberry for sponsoring. Love the fit. Honestly, it is a good looking shirt. But what are your thoughts? Do you go all the way up with the button or no? Oh, Saunders, obviously no.
Right, but I have very good answers for your question.
I like it buttoned all the way up. That's my thing.
It's actually a casual style of dress, like requirement, quote unquote. Like there's dress style, and you're not supposed to button the top button unless you have some kind of neck tie or something. Otherwise, it's supposed to be unbuttoned. And then the more buttons you unbutton, the casualer the look goes. But you really shouldn't go below like 2. And some shirts, like I have weird shirts where it's got a button at the top, but then the next one's like way down here, and it's like I can't do that. It just looks awkward.
So you're going full
those
chest forest.
Yeah, so those are like dress shirt only. The one you're wearing, even though the mic's in the way, looks like it has enough buttons where you could successfully. Yeah, it's got one like right at the collarbone level.
Yeah. I mean. Yeah, like when I wear like golf polos, I always go all the way up with the button. But like, I'm actually really curious what everyone comment. I should maybe make a poll of this on Instagram, like button all the way up, button all the way down. By the way, it's called the Will's wrinkle-free linen short sleeve button up. And it's a good fit. I really enjoy it. But yeah, thanks to Huckberry. But yeah, I'm a button all the way up kind of guy. It's just how I am. You know what it was? I watched a lot of soccer and like Arsenal. I would watch a lot of Arsenal, and at the time, there's a moment where they had a little button up, and they would button all the way. They'd button their uniforms all the way up to the neck, so it was a nice tight fit around the neck. I don't know. I enjoy the look.
Stuck with it.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just like there
stupid.
The casual styles. Well, no, like if you look at fashion magazines, right? Like if you go
Saunders
dig through men's
rules.
fashion.
I do.
You are very military. Do you know what a gig line is? I was an ROT. Yeah.
Yes, I have a gig line and I maintain it on every time I wear a button-up shirt. My gig line is maintained. I still carry a minimum of 2 pens everywhere I go.
Having a military thing for me.
Yeah.
I'm conscious of my gig line as well. What happened to Ben's picture? Oh no, you're clean. What? You're good, guys. main topic here: witching hour. Kids, what is witching hour? Ben, what's witching hour for you? And what times does it occur for you?
It's those times when you want to bang your head against your countertops. Generally, usually witching hour for everybody out there who is not having witching hour yet in your lives or early in it. Your kids are probably tired enough to go to sleep, but if you put them to sleep at that time, they're going to wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And so it's that push between either at around dinner time to slightly after and bedtime. So it's usually like an hour, maybe 2, where sometimes your kids are a nightmare, are an absolute nightmare. You love them, but everything they do is frustrating, and you have to really suppress the anger and not yell.
And your description of it
and
got very
really
emotive.
really wells up inside.
Oh,
he's centering that stoicism and just
this it's funny. So the witching hour is for us, it's kind of a part of that, like that 5 to 7 o'clock grind, right? Where it's like a little bit after dinner before bedtime. There's just, or a little bit before dinner time, somewhere around there. For a while it was like 4 or 5 o'clock, where it was just where everything just went wrong, right? And as a dad who, I used to be able to work from home as a freelancer, as a full-time content creator. Now I'm back to a 9 to 5, 9 to 6. And I feel like I would go to work, I'd miss my kids all day, and the moment I walk through the door, it is the worst version of themselves that I come home to. And they're smack dab in my daughter's witching hour. And it's, like Ben said, it is a very difficult time of day where they are just in a rut. And it's a very frustrating time. No matter what you do, they are freaking out because you got them an orange when they specifically asked for an orange. But you put it on a blue
yelled
plate.
at for plate. Yep. If you're going to get yelled at for plate color, or I wanted to do it myself, but I didn't tell you.
Yep.
That's when it's going to happen.
Right. Yeah. So it's a true test of patience for a parent. But one of the biggest things that I feel like goes overlooked is often like travel. We booked a flight just thinking about ourselves, what works for us, what works for price, all that stuff. And man, there's one flight where we're flying to Utah to Salt Lake, and it was smack dab in the witching hour. What a horrible flight that was. I have
for you and everybody else.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So you ruined a flight for a lot of people.
Yeah. Not sponsored by Bose QC35 soundproof or sound blocking headphones, which everyone should have on a flight, especially with kids.
So you were prepared, but the people around you just got dosed. I see how.
Man, it was a rough go. But yeah, that witching hour, man, be conscious of that, guys. If you do plan on holiday travel, which is, holidays are coming up here in a couple months, a couple weeks. Gosh, man, it's it's something to be conscious of.
It is identifiable. Like that's the one thing I think you should, as you get into that early toddler stage, right? 18 months walking, you can start to see it, because it's when they go from, at least in my experience, your child will go from relaxed and snuggly to I'm ready to go to bed, and now I've got the zoomies, or now I've got the whatever. They get more active for about 30 minutes to an hour, and you can really see it. And for us, we have a large open space living room. It's like, hey, you want to run until you fall down, run until you go. You wear yourself out. And for our dog, like, you can watch it just kick in. And there are some nights where literally my daughter goes from like snuggling in my arms to up and running around the living room for 30 minutes, and then she's ready for bed. Like, and it's, you can watch it, but if you pay attention, not that we're not all paying attention, but if you pay, you'll start to recognize the, like, okay, that's the sign. They need to get it out of their system before they go to bed, because they won't sit on the potty. They won't want to do their pajamas. They won't want to read a book. Even if you read a book, you're not getting the right book. Like, just let them work it out. And it's going to be 30 minutes. Like, let it pass. Let them pass it. Because then they'll just go to bed. Like, then you can just be like, and you're in your pajamas and you're asleep, and they're out in 5 minutes, and we all move on with our day, right?
I was gonna interject, but Ben, go ahead.
If my daughter's gonna screech and melt down into a puddle in the middle of the living room, that's when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
is during that, like, 5 to, usually it's a little bit pre-dinner. She's very, like, when she's hungry, she is inconsolable. She cannot be contained.
Yeah.
She'll just stand at my leg. Like tonight, I was making salmon and rice, and she was just standing at my leg, screaming, "Eat, eat, eat!" I'm like, "Baby, the food is ready. It just came out of it came out from under a broiler. I can't just hand this to you and let you eat it. Like, that's negligent. I can't do that to you." And so, like, it's that, like, everything is just turned up. And I think the hardest part is, as a parent too, like you said, you're coming home. I've either been home for a few hours and I'm just sort of wrapping up the work day, and everybody's coming home from school and they are unloading all the emotional stuff they've held from the day. They're hungry. They're starting to get tired. They are, just letting everything go. And it takes everything in you to make that sort of 2 hours work. And I'm also convinced that it might be a form of time travel, because I don't understand how 2 hours can feel like 12 every night.
He's not wrong.
So I want to, there's something about the food which is really interesting that I noticed with our son as our kids gotten older, because like the witching hour, particularly for toddlers, is, it's very well known. We know about this, but I really noticed with my son, our oldest, when he gets home from school, there is this block like from 3 to 4 o'clock where he is just a different kid. I don't know if it's just like he's
hangry.
Yeah, I guess, or he just spent a whole day like being, a good kid for his teacher and with his friends and this and that. And then when he comes home, he's always just so like snippy with Katie. Or sometimes when I pick him up, he's just like short, and he's it's interesting to see him develop and all that stuff. And he used to play club soccer, and it was just such a grind to be able to like, hey, we gotta get your cleats on, gotta get your shin guards on. And he just, I don't want to go. I just but it was so. But we realized that there's big correlation with food. He just needed something. He needed an apple. He needed some, a little Z bar. He needed some oranges or something. But it was like we really noticed that food contributed to the severity of his quote unquote witching hour. I don't know if you consider it a witching hour, but it's just that was his worst time of the day. And food truly solved it. But on that note, we'll kind of get into like little strategies on how we kind of get around it.
You can notice the witching hour if your kids skip a nap. Right? Like if they don't get that morning rest break, whatever, you will hit witching hour at like 2:30, 3 o'clock. They will just be losing it.
Yeah.
And that's a really hard time for us. Like, so we struggle with this on the weekends, right? You get the kids up, maybe early, maybe late, depending on what your weekend plans are.
Yeah.
They're not ready for a nap by like noon. But if they don't go down for a nap by noon, they're not going down for a nap till 3 or 4. And then maybe they're not getting up. Like, we've had nights where we've skipped all the naps because of whatever the day was. Kids go down at 5 o'clock and they sleep. And they're down, and it's like, well, that's great for me as a parent, but it's gonna suck in the morning when they're up at 6:30 in the morning and like, hey, it's a Sunday, let's do stuff, right? But so I think that's the other piece of this is we call it the witching hour, but it's really the I'm ready for sleep like energy. And as an adult, you can actually notice it in yourself, right? When you get that urge to go to the fridge and get a snack in the middle of the night, or you're like, hey, I just need another energy drink, or like that midnight 9:30, 10 o'clock munchy, you get really quickly motivated. That's the adult witching hour. You can, if you watch your body, so you'll be like, oh yeah, oh, I do that. Shoot. Right.
In addition to food kind of being like a solve for some of our older kids, I'll say like there are some games that we would just bust out and it would serve as a kind of a good distraction. And all of a sudden we'd see like their attitude just change on a dime. For our littles, like toddler age, it was like a good game. It was like for 3-year-olds and stuff. It's called Count Your Chickens. And it's a very, very simple game. But when we would bust that out, we would notice that like, even if they're like mad, if we could just get them to calm down just a little bit, we'd get the box and just kind of give it a shake, and they'll hear it and be like, "Oh, hey, that's Count Your Chickens. I'll play that." And it was like a good way to like kind of finish out the final like bits and kind of just get us to survival, just kind of get us to bedtime. And we've recently been playing a game called Zingo, which is kind of like bingo, but with like it's like a different, it's very, elementary version of bingo. And we actually did it tonight before bedtime. They were, they're all over the place. Bath time was just a struggle, but got the Zingo out, and it was just a good way to just kind of finish it out, and kind of serve as a good distraction for all of our kids. Sienna, our little toddler, as well as Colin and Henry. So
we're working on rolling a ball or sending cars across the floor. Like that targeted arm thrust motion.
Yeah.
That's our current distraction, instead of stomping through the house like a madman. Which occasionally happens regularly.
Do you know what I've learned is actually a really good just like activity to kind of like, not just witching hour, but like to just for any sort of times where you're just needing the kids to just kind of pep up a little bit. Old like PE textbooks or games or activities from like literal like physical education for like that, like elementary school teachers would do. Just there are so many innovative, just really not innovative, that's a wrong word, just like really cool simple activities, which is like putting like painter's tape on the floor in a certain pattern, and it's like here, just stay in these boxes, and they're playing like Floor's Lava with like, it's so interesting, just simple PE games that you could just set up, and you'd be surprised with how incredibly effective those are.
So do you guys know Highlights, the magazines?
Yeah, the magazine. Yeah. I love those. Yeah, the
so you can go to a bookstore and get a book. It's about an inch thick, and it's something like 500 highlights activities over the course of them publishing the magazine.
Nice.
And it's cooking, crafts, physical activities, puzzles. One of the best books we have ever purchased, because we can go through it and go to like the outdoor activities section and find something they can do in the yard that doesn't require a bunch of stuff, right? Or if it does, it's like, you need a piece of chalk, right? And so we're using that in a lot of the same ways, where we can find just these little activities that we can do. The craft ones are great because they'll be like, you need a pencil and a pair of scissors and some glue, right? And away you go, creating the world's greatest pumpkin. So there's another, and it's not that expensive. I want to say it was like 20, 30 bucks. Like it was a cheap, and it's hardbound. Like it weighs a ton. It's a textbook style, murder book, if that makes sense.
Last little tip though, dollar section at Target, sticker books, just $1 sticker book. Oh, dude, gold.
Dollar store sticker books.
Sticker books. The art projects at Target, like just the painting projects are great. If all else fails, witching hour, I found physical activity, like any kind of, like my kids love to wrestle, and we'll just go up in the playroom. It's all carpeted. There's throw a bunch of pillows down. This can actually help calm their nervous system. So you can put them in a blanket and actually like a hammock and kind of wrap them up in it and actually swing them back and forth. And I'll have to find the article, but there actually is a physiological response to that type of motion, which can calm their nervous system. So they have, what is it called when they come home from school? It's like basically they lose impulse control when they get home because they've been controlling it all day. So it's like control collapse basically. So they get home. When your kids are losing it as soon as they walk in the door, it's because they've been so controlled. And so, especially if a kid that, your teachers say, oh, they're good, they're really well behaved, they're very respectful. Yeah. They hold all that in all day. And then when they come home, they know they're in their safe place, and it literally collapses. Like they have no more ability to hold that together, which is why they're so challenging as soon as they get home, and they're snippy and they're difficult and they're screaming and this, that, and the other. But as you get through that, usually physical activity can help mitigate some of it, right? So if you're not the one cooking dinner, or you're not, making the food or doing whatever, you're not, busy, any kind of like wrestling, physical play, anything like that should help kind of balance them out, because it helps them reconnect with their parents. And then that gives them the ability to feel a little bit safer, a little bit more balanced, and know that they're sort of back in their home in their safe place without having so much of a tremendous collapse as soon as they walk in the door. I've even seen people do dance parties. That's been like a big thing.
We do that.
Walk in the door, play music, do a dance party, and it sets the tone for the rest of the night. Makes witching hour not quite so bad.
We do that with again, dollar store glow sticks. We'll darken the room and then do dollar store glow sticks like dance parties. It's really fun. It's really we'll awesome. Do like mini raves. With that we do that a bunch. It's really fun. But par for the course, we'll mention the what, and then Ben will swing in with the why. So that's awesome. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Anyway, that's kind of the rundown.
Final thoughts?
Oh yeah, give us a final thought. Sign off, man. Give us a final sign off.
We're going back to the beginning of this. So I have an opinion article about buttoning the top button, and one of the opinions on the top button. So if you button the top button, it really emphasizes that you read the instruction manual and you alphabetize your cereal boxes. Yet on the flip side, leaving the button undone can be as difficult as saying, I may or may not own an iron. So anyway,
I am pretty particular about certain things.
And I'm reading, and it was like, oh, yeah, you would be the kind of guy who alphabetizes his cereal boxes. Yeah, I can see that. All right.
I
completely opinion based, not in reality or fact. It was off medium.com. Okay. This was not an official article, but I read it. If I were to
organize cereal boxes, I would go by the Roy G. Biv. I would
height.
Height is a part of it, but color is going to be the dominant indicator of how I organize it. That's how I organize my closet. It is color organized.
It's not by fiber. Sheldon organized them by fiber content.
That'll do it for this week's episode, guys. Thank you for listening. Again, thanks to Huckberry for the shirt of debate. We really appreciate it.
I'm gonna have to get some of these shirts. You guys make them look really comfortable.
Well, we're gonna have it linked in the show notes, as well as in the YouTube description, so anyone can snag a shirt and button it all the way to the top, or just leave it all the way unbuttoned, or you reverse it. You only button the bottom button, and so that your belly button's exposed. You could do that too. So,
fun fact: you're never supposed to button the bottom button on a vest.
That sounds dignified. That sounds very British correct. Yeah. Anyway, good to know. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Hopefully you learned a little bit of stuff about witching hour, as well as etiquette and vest wearing. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.